Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am your host, Shae Zombie, and I am here with the super awesome and very talented Scott Payne from Chaotic Flux. How you doing, Scott?
Pretty good. How's everybody out there?
Hoping everybody
Everybody,
else is good. I'm good.
you good? I'm
I'm,
good.
I'm feeling a little blue, but
Yeah, a little blue.
that
Yeah,
happens.
it shows.
Damn it, I thought I was hiding it so well. So we're here to talk about Chaotic Flux Part 2. So you've already done Part 1.
hmm
And for that one, you had a flex goal, and you didn't quite reach what you were hoping, but you did still get about 2/3, I think it was?
Yeah, well, I was aiming for 6,000. I got $4,501.
At
Um,
$1.
but it was still, pretty good for my first run. I thought, and
Yeah.
and it helped a lot with funding that first book, and I also did a lot of conventions. Well, I did 3 conventions this last year, and did really well at those conventions with selling the book, and so that helped a lot too with making up that rest that I didn't get for the campaign.
Right.
So
No, that's
can't
super
complain.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's that's really cool. Well, I'm glad that you're back for a second
hmm
round,
Yep.
and let's just kind of go straight into your pitch, and let's see what's new in Chaotic Flux.
Okay. So Chaotic Flux centers on a team called they come to be known as the Crimson Flame. They're warriors that unite in the future to rid the world of mutant abominations as humanity's last hope against these horrible creatures called Dread Fiends that are taking over. Um, The first 2 issues focuses on Zathara, who is an alien hybrid who can form these crystal-like structures at will. She'll use that to turn them all sorts of forms all sorts of different weaponry. One of the main things she'll use it for is creating these kind of blade arms to fight with. She'll also create daggers and throw them, and use her abilities in various different ways throughout the series. You'll see her use them a lot in different ways in both the first 2 issues. And the first issue gets into 2 parts of her life. One, her first run-in with the Dread Fiends and how she deals with them, as well as it gets into her backstory, how she's been hunted down most of her life by an organization called the Purging Hand, who's been trying
Yes.
to wipe her kind out for years. They believe that uh, life forms things that aren't of, or shouldn't be of Earth, things that are unnatural, should be
Mm-hmm.
wiped out. And they see Zathara as a natural thing, so they're trying to wipe all of her kind out. And she's housed in this military facility, research facility, when she's a kid, about 12 years old. And they infiltrate the facility, the order of the Purging Hand, and begin slaughtering everyone inside to get to the children to take them out as well.
So that's what
So
this is, right?
yeah, that's part of that.
Nice. And is this so just real quick, is this one of the little like crystal shards that she can create?
That was actually created by someone else, but another half human, half Sakaran hybrid like her.
Okay.
And that you get a kind of idea of what's going on in the first issue, where that is about. But you'll get more of it as the story goes on in this issue and the next one. Um, so I've been building this world for 20 years now, and like building layer by layer by layer, and it's gotten really complex, and there's all kinds of things going on. But I try not to put too much in the first 2 issues, just enough to ease you in every each issue and open the door a little more into the world and the characters. But I do have a lot of story to tell. A lot of awesome things are coming in the series. Some examples of some of the characters besides Zathara. There's also Soren, who's an exosuit pilot. He fights in this really awesome exosuit called the Reaper, and it's all kinds of great weaponry. As well as Strife, who's a big transforming AI mecha. So he's basically like a huge transformer, but he is able to self-engineer himself.
This guy
So he
right here,
can
I'm
turn,
assuming.
yeah, that's him turn. Yeah, that's his ship mode there, and then he's transforming into robot mode as he's dropping off the teammates there.
That's
And
awesome.
he'll turn into all sorts of things. Whatever, as long as he has the materials to build whatever he wants to build, he can do that. And there's also they're not featured in the first two issues, but you also get Nalaria, who's a fire-based mage, Pagan, who's a plant-based mage, that's her father, as well as Gareth, who's a big 8 foot tall swordsman with a giant transforming sword. They come into the story a little later on, but all 6 of those characters make up the Crimson Flame. And the Dread Fiends that you see there, they're these creatures that were genetically engineered by humanity as a food source in the future. Okay, and so in this dark timeline, the world is ravaged by catastrophic global events, as well as great war going on over the world for fighting over land that's and resources that are still usable by humanity. So it creates a lot of famine, a lot of great famine in the world to where humanity's running out of food sources. So they create this life form to sustain the human race as something that can both reproduce very rapidly, but also withstand the harsh elements. But it actually starts to mutate on its own and self-evolve and get out of control. They start to spread and take over. They have this insatiable appetite and start just devouring humanity. So someone has mentioned before that they're like man-eating cows gone awry, and essentially, yeah. But they they're able to self-mutate. So when they feed on flesh, when they feed on a life form, they will rapidly break that down and turn that into a biofuel that then will allow them to mutate, make themselves bigger, stronger, wings for flight, for instance, whatever need to get the upper hand in battle. They can also reproduce in this way where they will clone themselves. So they'll break down that biofuel, clone themselves very rapidly, and then regurgitate that quote-unquote offspring, and then it will quickly grow into an adult form. And that's how they're able to spread so quickly.
That's super disgusting.
Yeah, these kind of ultimate monsters that I designed.
Sorry, that just got me in the feels. Yeah. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I haven't shown that yet in the book exactly, but I can't wait to illustrate that and gross people out.
You know what? So Arch is over here, and just real quick, we'll go down the list of first he wanted to know what it was like giving birth to Smurfs, and then he told me that I was supposed to loosen the belt before I turned blue, and. I felt the need to fire back. And he said something horribly on point to what you were just talking about.
Well,
it was like, oh, bulimia. See, this is why I'm not a model, is because I like food. Food is great. That, and I'm too nerdy to be a model. This doesn't. Nobody wants this in Vogue.
Come on.
No,
you started your fashion statement with the blue skin. There you go.
I don't think anybody's going for it. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. So the last couple of people that I've ended up having on the stream have been building their worlds and their kind of their lore and their backstories for like decades, and it's so cool to see people who've been working on this for so long and finally like pulled the trigger and been like, all right, we're gonna bring it to life now. We're gonna actually try and see what happens. And the fact that you guys are succeeding, like you're making books, they're coming out, and they've got these cool characters. They got characters that people, I mean, look at Zahara. She's awesome. Like, I 1,000% wanted to cosplay her, and I want to cosplay her in this. I just funding and money is a thing. Right. So you get her running away, and that's what we're trying to cosplay instead. But
whatever works.
Dude, it's really cool to see all of this stuff kind of come to light and like start being created. It's super badass. And you got a t-shirt, so I'm like totally on board now. I fucking love t-shirts. Seriously, it's one of my favorite parts of campaigns.
Yeah, I'm a big t-shirt guy too. It drives my wife crazy sometimes, especially go to the store and they're like a sale's on. I'm like, okay, I get 3 or 4. She's like, oh gosh,
Yeah, but, every time. I love when you're able to like wear kind of your nerd fandom out there. And since lately, my nerd fandom has been around indie comics, I'm like, you guys should do a t-shirt. And they're like, oh, maybe. And I was like, yeah, I know a guy. He can make t-shirts. just let me know. I'll hook you up. Like, please make a t-shirt. I just want a t-shirt.
Right.
Like, I want a t-shirt in your book, and that's
well,
it.
well, they make a lot of well, I mean, if you as long as you have the art, or if it's original art, then they make it pretty easy nowadays to make t-shirts, thankfully, with like Teespring and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Oh, and we've got Arch City, who apparently has his own t-shirts on sale as well. So
Nice.
feel free to go check out his stuff. But let's get back to the whole reason we're even here and why I'm painted blue and might be calling it after work tomorrow. Let's go through your awesome tiers that you've got going real quick.
Okay.
So your featured tier is the deluxe package at $25.
Mm-hmm. And that you get, so every tier you will get the PDF. So there is just the PDF by itself, but everything comes with the PDF. And awesome. In this one, you get a signed copy of issue 2, as well as 2 trading cards, 2 character trading cards. I've started the trading cards with the last campaign, and I'm planning to do a series of the cards. So every campaign, there'll be 2 cards that you can collect.
Oh, very
and they're character featured cards, like you were headed on down below, where you I did in the Marvel style, where you have their stats and bio about the characters and little facts about them on the backs, as well as great artwork on the front. And there's also an art print that you can get in this deluxe package, and the art print is actually of the cover art. There's just no logo or nothing. It's just the art itself, so it's a nice little poster.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that's the cover art there.
Mm-hmm. That's super cool.
And then, of course, like I said, the PDF. Yeah. Oh, I should mention this too. You can get issue 1 in this campaign if you missed out on issue 1. And how that you do that is when you click on one of the perks, you can add on issue 1 at the check just before you go to the checkout. And you can get either the PDF or the signed or unsigned version of the physical copy.
That is super awesome. I love it when people offer that, and especially offering it as an add-on, so it's not necessarily something that you've got to, grab in a tier, and you can kind of keep your campaign focused on, like, this is the second book. This is what I really want to focus on. It's like, however, if you miss the first book, yes, there is still an option for you to add it on. That's a cool way to do it, I think.
And a good deal that I have going is so if you get the PDF of the first book and the second book, it's only $8. And then if you want to get the physical copy, you can get both of them with shipping for $25. Jeez. And the first issue is 26 pages. The second issue is 28 pages. So for $25 or $8, that comes to 54 pages of story.
That's awesome. That is really great. And offering the physical book for $10, like I keep seeing people offer them for lower and lower prices, and the more the lower it gets, the more my stomach starts to turn, because I've helped people I've helped so many people try and like do their Indiegogos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how are you doing that for $10? But I mean, the thing is a lot of people have really kind of worked out shipping and things like that, and worked out really good.
It's important to do your research. Yes. Do your research on all your shipping, and try to figure out the best pricing. And it's, what's the best way to ship it, and box wise and everything. And
exactly. And I mean, we've had some creators who have like taken out loans and maxed out credit cards and stuff to try and make sure that they get their backers what they promised. And I'm like, I don't want to see you guys do that. That's how you end up in crippling debt that you can't get back from, and we don't want that.
Exactly.
We want successful Comicsgate people, and we have so many of them now. It's really nice to see. So for $10, you get an unsigned copy of the book, which is amazing. For an extra $5, you get your John Hancock on it, right? Mm-hmm. Nice. Ooh, you're doing a metallic cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of metallic covers. I mean, they don't do them too much nowadays, but they did a bunch in the 90s, and I've got still quite a few of those. And so, like I said, I love them, and I wanted to do metallic covers for my book, and I did on the first campaign. I did really well. So I brought it back for this one, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to do them for all the campaigns. But yeah, the first one turned out great. and I can't wait to see how this one turns out metallic, especially with this new cover. Um,
That's awesome.
mhm.
Gosh. So is the entire cover going to be metallic, or is it going to be like spot, kind of like when you do like spot gloss or spot UV?
No, it's metallic. Yeah, it's like a how they do. It's like a process where it's like silver
Mm-hmm.
with the art overlaid on top of that.
Oh, I've totally
So
done
it,
stuff
it
like
pops
that. I
through the
understand.
silver pops through the artwork, the metallic effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I did. I actually started doing stuff like that for pins, and I was working
Hmm.
on. I have a poster that's half done of Machi that I was doing like spot holographic on. It's the same kind of process. You have a like a holographic sticker background, and then you get the kind of clear print of whatever over the top of it.
Wow, that's cool.
That's really awesome. That's exciting. I like the idea of having a metallic cover like that.
Yeah, they're so much fun.
And then having it autographed
So you get the
again.
signed version for 25. Mm-hmm.
Is this shipping date still accurate?
I just
2020 of March?
yeah yeah we're shooting for March. Right now things are going pretty good as far as
Okay.
finishing the book in time. But things happen, so
They do.
hopefully nothing happens. I got a bit of a slowdown a little bit a few weeks ago because my artist he had a really bad toothache to where he
Oh,
actually had to go and get his tooth pulled. So that slowed him down for almost a week, but
yeah.
it wasn't too
Oh.
bad. Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm glad that he's doing better. Like, but dental issues,
Hmm.
man. Dental issues suck.
Yeah, he just sent me a new page today. Yeah, Metallic Deluxe. So this is a fun package. You get the metallic cover signed. You also get 2 trading cards, metallic versions. So it's the metallic versions of the ones that will also be in the deluxe package, and then you also get a metallic art print. But in this one, the art print is going to be different than the art print in the non-metallic package. I'm still deciding on what that's going to be. I'm waiting for all the art to come in to make that decision on, but should be pretty soon that I can. I keep saying that. I've been saying that a lot of shows. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it. It just I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, just a tease. That's what you are. That's awesome though. I love the idea of having like just I'm a total like gimmicky kind of person when I have things that
Hmm.
have like the holographic or glow in the dark or the
Yeah, I'm the same
metallic.
way.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting.
When you when you're talking about the hologram art earlier, remind me of there was I think it was the Fatal Attractions storyline from X-Men because I have all those books. But
Mhm.
on the cover had metallic, or no, I'm sorry, holographic images. It's like a trading card size holographic image on the cover of different characters. Like there's one with Magneto, there's one with Gambit, and they look
Mhm.
amazing. I love that, but you don't really see that anymore. And I wish they would do that kind of stuff. So like you said, those gimmicks, they're great, and usually you should grab them because they're not gonna probably be around ever again or very
Yeah.
rarely.
Well, and the thing is especially when you're talking like the indie scene, like the stuff that I'm trying to do for Raven, and I've owed this to her for so long now. I feel terrible. I actually need to finish,
Hmm.
but it's all done by hand and it's time consuming. It's not like a quick thing, but the attention to detail that a lot of people end up doing because of that, and like for Se Tonks, who's another indie artist throughout the scene, I've done a lot of holographic pins and stuff like that for him. And so when
Hmm.
he goes to whatever con or whatever show like that, he can whip out these limited edition holographic pins, and they end up really making like the color work and stuff pop because it's reflecting light more, and it makes people a lot
Wow.
more excited. Like, who wouldn't want a holographic pin? They're fun.
Right? Come on. That's awesome.
That is super cool. And so then this one you get the original and the metallic cover. Is that what
Hmm.
you're that?
Yep.
Yes. 30. I got $35. I think I got 35. Okay, anyway. The collector's package for 50. What's all in this?
Well, that's where it gets more crazy. So this one you get everything that we already named. So you get both covers, you get both versions of the trading cards, you get both art prints and the PDF.
Oh, that is. Do I have $50? I'm trying. I'm just.
Not yet.
I'm plotting.
There's one more.
It's cool. Look, okay, because you got the one that has a damn T-shirt, and I know that I'm gonna want
Yeah.
that, and that means I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to work another
So that
weekend.
one's. Oh.
Son
Yeah,
of
that
a
one's
bitch.
everything and the T-shirt. Yep.
Okay, we're gonna. How much longer are you doing this? 5 days, dude. Are you
Yep.
extending?
At this point, yeah, I think I have to. I'm still waiting to
Okay.
see, how things go. But yeah.
So if you have done, I'm assuming you've done your first 30 days, correct?
Yeah, this is my
Okay.
first 30.
I I would definitely recommend extending for another 30.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
you have a really cool project. I will say I think that you just need to get more eyes on it is really kind of the
Yep.
only issue that you're running into, because the character, I mean, look at her. She's she's pretty
Yeah.
badass. Like
Yeah, and I
I
did make her
like her.
really badass, but I mean, I gave her, she's got her flaws. She's got, she gets her butt kicked sometimes, but she comes back, harder every time. She just keeps pushing through, to get this dark and twisted world as best she can. Just like all the characters, and they eventually they reunite as a team, and they learn to work together. They learn how to use their abilities together. But of course, they'll have their own conflicts, their own, things are dealing with turmoil and what have you, both with each other, but other things in the world. But yeah, they just keep getting stronger and better as the series goes on. It's one of the main ideas behind it is these characters just pushing themselves their absolute limits, no matter what gets thrown at them.
Well, and that's actually something that I think is really that's what everybody kind of wants. Everybody wants somebody that they can
Yeah,
root
yeah,
for, and the
yeah,
underdog, and all of that.
yeah,
And I
and
mean,
have good character growth. I don't,
yeah,
have
not not have that superficial shit where they're
to learn
like,
from their
I had a
mistakes and
hangnail. Yes,
yeah,
that is super awesome. And see, I love this right here where you see her getting what looks like her arm dislocated. Um,
yes, that's exactly what's happening there.
that's what
He's
I
trying to rip her
assumed,
apart.
especially
He's trying to
because
torture her. Yeah.
that pop and then
This
this.
so I didn't mention that earlier, but in issue 2, it does it starts off right where things leave off in the first issue, and but it hits the ground running, and since where it just once it goes, it just goes and it goes. There's a lot of action in this one. There's a lot of suspense, a lot of drama, and the main focus is that it's about Zathara having to save this family, who helps her, but now she has to help them from getting devoured by the Dread Fiend, and becoming their next meal, or his next meal. And also, it gets into a little bit. It shows you how the Purging Hand is now, what they've become. The leader. Well, there's a guy named Thraxus Prime who is the self proclaimed leader of or the Purging Hand. In the past, something really bad happens to him to where they turn him into a cyborg. We'll tell that. I can tell that story here in the next few issues. But he gets turned into a cyborg, and through nanotech, and with this nanotech, he's able to control it and invade other people, or other life forms, and control them with the nanotech. And he turns his men, the men of the Order of the Purging Hand, or the soldiers, women as well. There's women in there too. I should say men, like what I mean, and
Yeah.
it turns them into
Mankind.
cyborgs against their will as his minions, basically as soldiers. Because he does it because he believes that this is a betterment for the organization, a kind of evolution to allow them to adapt and survive better in this dark future. So he forcibly turns his men and women into soldiers. I mean, soldiers, cyborgs. They're already soldiers, but he turns them into cyborgs.
That is
So you
super
get
fucked up.
introduced to Thraxus Prime in this one, and as well as one of his main henchmen. Um, so like I said earlier, there's all these different layers, and I'm slowly adding them on as we go along and building that story and complexity.
That is super cool. So I like how you were talking about how she gets her butt kicked a couple of times because
Mhm.
you see her scream, and I love how just
Yeah.
over her comms it's like, why are you screaming? Her response is, the creature has me, my arm is being ripped off. It's like, oh, good reason to scream. Legit. And he's just like, just use your abilities, break free. And she's like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. It's just trying to rip me into. Got it. Like, and the way that your artist, who is your artist on this?
Brian Belando.
Okay. I really like how he's got this ability to draw. Like you can see where her arm is no
Yeah.
longer where it should be. Um, and just the way that she's being held, like this was one of the big things that made me go like, all right, cool. I'm reaching out to Scott. Like he has to be on the show because this image just kind of stuck with me, and the
Hmm.
fact that she just looks like this poor little defeated rag doll,
Right.
and right, on the front cover she's this massive badass who's jumping down with this huge blade, like ready to just kill everything in sight, and then you see this and you're like, oh fuck, she doesn't just win. Like
Yep.
she gets a butt kicked.
Yep.
It's
Yeah. It
definitely
goes pretty hard. These characters, the storyline for sure.
I love
Um.
it though. I
Yeah.
love when people aren't afraid to put the vision that they have out there instead of maybe I should tone it down a little or maybe I should make it family friendly or and it's just like, nah, fuck it. And you even if I am not mistaken, yep. Rated mature right there on the
Yep.
front cover. There
Yep.
is no question.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. For violence score and language now and then. Um. This. I mean, issue one had a good amount of like crazy gore and blood, and issue two does too. Trust me. Actually, the page my artist just sent me today is really radical. When I looked, I mean, it's crazy too. Sometimes when you write the script and you already see it in your head, but
Right.
then when you get the actual art, and and this always happens on some level when I get the art back from artists, but this page because there's so much drama and gore in the page, I was like, whoa! It's like it's almost like I was kind of like, this is like really messed up.
You're like, holy shit, did I write
Yeah,
that? I wrote
yeah,
that. Oh yeah, that was me. That was my bad. I love that though, and see that's actually something I was talking with somebody earlier about today when it came to promoting like artists trying to promote themselves better and trying to get kind of more out there. Um, One of the best ways is for them to do fan art and to kind of tie into what you were just saying, having somebody who takes your vision because you know what it's like in your head.
Mhm.
But what you have in your head and what somebody else produces for you is never going to be the same. There's always going to be some small differences at a minimum. Um,
Right,
but being able to see another artist take your characters and your idea and your story and put their spin on it and like, oh, if I were drawing
right,
it, this is how she would look, and being able to kind of see those differences is so exciting. And
yeah,
then on top of that, I mean, that's your character,
right,
and that's other people invested in your story, which is always a
exactly.
super ego boost if nothing else. And
Yeah,
I
that
agree with Art.
confidence, just yeah, uh, both that they have in your story, but also that in yourself that people are really liking this. This it just it feels amazing, like you said,
Right, it
and
shows you're not wasting your time.
right, exactly, and also the we were kind of talking. Okay, so it's really amazing too when you find an artist that can, you know, bring your vision to life, but so well. Like I'm really, I mean, everything that he does, like either it's what I really wanted or even better. So,
Hmm.
and I
Exactly.
mean, it just feels so great when you find an artist that can connect you on that level and bring your visions so well to life. Um, I don't know. It's just, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know what it's like to not yet have that, where where an artist doesn't quite do it, but I've been very lucky. So,
that well, and see, that's the mark of a good team. If you look at kind of the cohesiveness between who you have on this project and the fact that you've got, I mean, first off, can we just talk
You there?
Sorry, guys. So I got better internet. I
Oh.
promise. I did get better internet, but now it likes to randomly just drop, like
Huh. Yeah.
when I'm in the middle of making a point. Every time.
The fun of live streams.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even care. It's fine. But yeah, I was gonna say I found it really funny that it's Scott and then Brian and Brian who are who are working on this, but they have to spell it differently. And
Right.
I don't know if that was like you saying I can't have two Brians with an I. So
No, no.
Rock paper
Yeah.
scissors. Someone's getting a Y in their name.
Right.
Damn it.
Right. No, that is how he spells his name.
That's awesome.
Which does help with the confusion.
Right. You're like, Brian with a Y, I need you to
Right.
do this differently. And Brian with an I,
What?
I need you to talk with Brian with a Y a little bit better, okay?
When I'm talking to my wife about the book and I'm talking about the particular artist, I will say Brian with the Y, did this or said this. The other one is Brian.
Well, so and the point I was making before I decided to, wicca wicca and just stop doing anything was the fact that you've got a really cool story. You have really, really awesome line art and everything like that. And then on top of that, the color work, just like these creatures and all of this like highlight and the kind of bubble look that they got to their skin and everything.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? I'm
it
so happy. So proud of my artist. Thanks for noticing all those little details too.
So here's the thing: is like I've played tabletop games. I've done a lot of the like hand painting of Nurgle armies and shit like that. I hate Nurgle. I think he's disgusting. And everyone who paints all of his stuff, like they always make it super gross. That's something that Tonks does a lot, and he'll add like shine onto it just so it's extra horrible.
Right, so it looks moist.
Yeah, he does that a lot. But the thing is like looking at this and looking at like all of this detail in his skin to make him look kind of almost iridescent. Like he. Like when you look at a lizard or you look at like a reptile and they have that kind of sheen and these like scales that are super like understated. That's kind of what you got going here, and I really dig it because it's really it just adds a lot to the character. It makes it that much more grotesque, I guess. But no, it is really, really awesome. And I think that you have a super good team, the way that you guys are kind of meshing all of this together. It seems like you guys have been working together for years and years, as opposed to 2 books. But I definitely am going to work a weekend because I need that damn t-shirt and I need this book in my life. This is an awesome book. For sure. And if you're just joining us and you don't know what t-shirt I'm talking about, by the way, that should be on a t-shirt as well. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Badass.
I did do an art print of where you have, because you go up a little, and then because that one is one side of the page and then this is the other side. I have an art print of the whole thing.
Yes.
But I will definitely consider making a t-shirt of that too. I do have a Teespring store that has more t-shirts there as well. I think how many t-shirts are on there? I want to say I've got maybe 10 different ones. This shirt I'm having right now is if you can see that. That's
hold on. Oh no.
So it's got the logo there and the team jumping down off the mountain. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
that is super badass.
And yeah, like I said, I got like 10 prints, I think, of the t-shirts. Last time I made a t-shirt, I think it was up to 10, maybe a little more than that. But my wife adds a few every now and then.
Nice.
So yeah, if you do want one of those t-shirts, you can go to I think it's Teespring Sharp Edge Comics. Or it's either that or I can't remember. Let me look real quick. It's either that or it's been a while since I've been on there too. Because they haven't been really selling. So I've sold a few, but I think a big part of it is just getting, like you said, getting eyes on the project and getting people interested in the characters. So
Absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you what, I'll grab the link from you too, and after this get up, like up onto YouTube, I'll add it in. And so that'll
okay,
be
awesome.
something that people can just click into the channel description and go directly to your store, which would be super awesome.
Well, I just did it where I typed in Teespring and the Chaotic Flux, and it was like the first option in Google, and that brought it up.
That is super awesome. I'm sorry for the squeak toy. My
Yeah, I've
dog
got
is trying to.
jackets. I got jackets. I got mugs. I got all kinds of
Ooh.
stuff on there, but a lot of T-shirts.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we will definitely make sure that we get that added into
Awesome.
the
Thank you.
channel description as well, because why not?
And anything made on that goes towards the books. So
Sweet. That is super
yep.
cool to hear, especially because a lot of people, worry if they go and back merch outside of like a campaign
Mm-hmm.
that it's not going to go towards furthering the projects at all. And so
No, it
it's
all
cool that
goes
you
towards the book.
That's great. That is super cool. Well, we're to that point where we're ready for questions. So if you are in the chat and you
Okay.
have any awesome questions for Scott, please post them now. I am going to ask you the questions that we normally get from Skits because I know that Skits and Blackstar were streaming. I'm not sure if they still are, but they were streaming, so they're not here. One of the things that Skits always asks is if you could do your campaign over, what do you think you would do differently?
Well, let's see. With this campaign, I remember when I first started this one, I had a few people saying you should have made your goal smaller, so that way you hit, funded sooner and you get to go on demand. I've been debating a little bit on that, whether or not I should have. I'm still on the fence of whether I should have or not, because I think, well, if I did, what if then it just kind of stopped there and didn't continue? Um, because a lot of having that time limit brings urgency to fund the campaign. I found out there's a lot of times where like, oh, I better get in on it now, or else it's gonna be too late.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, but I mean, if I don't know, like I said, I'm kind of the fence on that. I might have made my goal smaller, but at this point, too, I mean, so I can extend, which at this point, I think I am going to extend.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that as well. I don't know, like that. I mean, that doesn't really answer the question quite, but that's just kind of have been feeling a little bit on that. I would say that for sure I would change on the down the side, or you have the tiers.
Mm-hmm.
I would have made artwork where it shows the items on the pictures, on the images, what you get. Um, but I can't change that now. As soon
Yeah.
as someone buys a perk, you cannot change it in your page.
Yeah. The
But
only
next
thing
time,
that
I'm
you
definitely gonna do
Yep.
that.
So there is one way around it. If it really did bother you and you wanted to try and update it, you could always take the perk that you currently have and hide it.
Oh,
And
just
so
recreate it, that
and
kind of
then recreate
thing.
it with a different, yeah, so you can just redo the same perk but do a different, tag photo for it and just
Hmm.
hide the perk that you currently have.
Ah,
um,
well, okay,
it really just depends on how
that's
much it
not a bad idea.
bothers you. If that's something that you're
Right,
like, this has been driving me nuts for 30 days and I need to fix it, then
right.
there's a way to
Well,
fix it.
yeah, it bothers me some, but I mean, I'm not sure how much it really affects things. I just, again, that's another thing where I've had people say that you probably should have done that. It would have helped give people that instant information instead of having to
Mm-hmm.
click on the banner and look at all the what is in there. Um, because some people they pop in,
Mm-hmm.
glance real quick, and you have like sometimes you only have like a minute or two to get their interest.
To get that, yeah, you
Uh,
usually
you
have
know,
about 60 seconds before somebody is
yeah.
going to at least not, like, I won't say get hooked enough to purchase, but not
Hmm.
get turned off. So
Right.
and after, I mean, I've had quite a few different people on Red Valkyrie, and Sai and I have gone through and backed quite a few projects, and there's so many out there. It's so impossible to keep up with, both financially and just trying to keep them straight. Like, if it weren't for Tompa, I wouldn't know about half y'all guys, because there's so many out there. Um, but definitely, if you've got something to kind of help people visualize exactly what they're getting, some people are more
Mhm.
visual than
Yeah.
reading or whatever. So
I'm
seeing something
yeah, I'm
can be
usually
helpful.
more visual myself. But
Uh,
yeah,
so we've got a question from
mhm.
Joe King. He wants to know if you were under the influence when you created this story.
No, I mean, honestly, I did used to partake in, uh, the extracurriculars, but
Oh
um,
gosh.
yeah, I've
We do
done,
not
I did,
promote that on this
yeah,
channel.
well, but I haven't in years. So chances are that influenced it years ago. But I mean, well, I mean, okay, so. Yeah, I mean, because I was watching a lot of anime, I'm still watching anime now, but a lot back then, a lot of different like wild, trippy, crazy things because I was doing those things with my friends, and and we'd sit down and get really messed up and watch some crazy, trippy anime or whatever. So yeah, probably that influenced. But I mean, just I intake all these different things, these different shows and movies and comics and over decades, and I've that inspired all of this for me to mesh it all together in this awesome way and make this crazy story. Um,
Well, and I mean, if we're going to be honest, you said you've been working on this for like 20 years. So that would
mhm.
be a really long time to be messed up from drugs for like
That's
20
true.
years straight. So you definitely at least had some sober moments at a minimum,
Oh
if
yeah,
not
yeah.
mostly sober
Right.
moments.
I was mostly in my 20s and my late teens, so yeah.
That is super awesome. Alas, that you should have listened to Nancy Reagan. just, just don't do it. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Oh, I forgot that was her thing.
That was her whole,
Yeah, I
like
forgot
her
that was her
big
thing.
thing. We
Yeah,
had
just say
Michelle
no.
Obama had school lunches, and Nancy Reagan's
Hmm.
thing was doing drugs. So
Yeah, I remember the ribbons that they give you in school, the little red ribbons that says "just say no."
yeah, I was definitely in both Dare and Pride.
Hmm.
So they were interesting things to be a part of as a kid. I was also from Utah, so that was like the entirety of Utah was part of Dare and Pride. All right, so next question that we have is from Comic Book Scrapyard. He wants to know, did you have any major inspiration sources for your book, such as like for characters, story, style?
Well, my four main influences on the book are X-Men: Age of Apocalypse storyline, X-Men overall, but particularly that story. It focused on a lot of the X-Men going through a lot of really crazy stuff with Apocalypse being so powerful and wiping out most of the human race. I remember there's shots in the comic where Bishop is climbing over mountains of dead humans, over all their bones and their body parts, and um, that storyline, being so dark, but also the heroes being pushed, the X-Men being pushed to their absolute limits. Where these in that storyline, the X-Men, many of them were really, really way more powerful than they were in the non-Age of Apocalypse storyline. You had Iceman doing all kinds of crazy, awesome stuff that he wasn't doing in the other stories, and Sunfire and Magneto, and so that's a big influence on this book as far as the characters like just being total badasses, because otherwise they're just going to get wiped out. And another big influence is Battle Chasers. I know not too many people are familiar with that book, but it's a very diverse team kind of book where you had a big robot in it, you had a big swordsman with a giant sword, and you had this little girl with these magical gloves that made her pretty much a god, as well as yeah, this old man that was this really powerful wizard. And Chaotic Flux is a very diverse team, I really wanted to have this team where each character really stands out, both in the way they look and their personalities and their powers. That book was a big influence on that idea, as well as the Resident Evil series. The Dread Fiends are greatly influenced by those creatures, or how they're able to mutate the way they do, and well, similar. Not, I mean, my guys actually mutate fairly differently, but still, that idea where they're like 1 minute they're one thing, and then they just like there's something totally more wicked and crazy. And then the story styling of Game of Thrones, as far as like the twists and the turns and the big surprises in the storyline between the characters and the events that happen to them. That's a big influence on Chaotic Flux as well.
That's awesome. So I am not a huge X-Men fan, but kind of hearing the way that you just kind of described it and talked about it, it definitely still gets me pumped for what you're doing with Chaotic Flux, just because it sounds, I don't know, it
Awesome.
sounds so much cooler than any time. And keep in mind, I didn't get into comics as a kid. I got into comics just a couple years ago. I grew up.
Oh, wow.
I grew up where comics were what little boys did, not little girls, and that was kind of the mentality around. I didn't even realize that comic book stores were a thing. I thought that people just kind of had them, and I had no idea where they got them from. They just kind of appeared randomly.
Huh.
But being able to hear somebody have that kind of passion and the excitement, like when you were just talking about all of these different influences, that actually makes me wish that I had read more X-Men, because all I had were the movies. And
There's some great stories in there. I mean, especially the '90s run. A lot of the early 2000s, the '80s run, even farther back. Like, but yeah, just I guess just what I do a lot of times too, because I don't have time to read everything. I try to read as much as I can, but like for instance, like with Batman too, I'm a big Batman fan, so I'll sit there and a while back I looked up, okay, where are the ones I need to read, the ones that and so I researched that and then started buying them, like Dark Knight Returns. Well, of course I read that years ago, but I rebought it because I lost it a long time ago. But like that Batman Hush, I love Batman Hush. That was one I heard it was so good. I read and I was like, yep, awesome. But yeah, same thing with X-Men. Like if you don't have the time to sit down and read all of it, because it's like decades, so
yeah, it's too much. Sure.
Just do the highlights for sure. At least it's worth it.
That's super awesome. So we have another question from Arch City Comics. He wants to know, how big of a story arc are you working on?
Too big. Yeah, there's a lot of connections that I have to make. There's a lot of big events that happen, both character to particular characters, but also big battles, big realizations, big twists and surprises. But new characters come besides the ones already named. So right now I'm looking at maybe 50 issues.
Holy hell, that is a lot.
But it could be more. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you're creating a massive saga for us, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is meant to be a big sci-fi.
Wow.
Yeah, saga, big sci-fi horror fantasy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Hopefully,
and big dramatic storyline. There's my cat behind. Oh, there she is. She's hanging out behind me there.
So
I just now noticed her. Yeah. Let's see if I can get the angle right. I forgot I'm backwards here. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, that's Eris.
What was her name?
Eris.
Eris.
Aris. Mm-hmm.
I am a fan. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Well, honestly, this whole campaign just seems like it's so much fun, and I'm so super stoked that I was able to get you on, especially if you're planning 50 of these. I'm glad I could get you on for book 2, since I missed you for book 1. So at least I'm getting in somewhat early, and so I can hopefully follow you on this epic sci-fi journey that you're about to take all of us on.
I'm glad to have you along.
Heck yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, I'm not even a massive sci-fi nerd. Like that's not the genre I go for, but I do go for action. I love action, and I love gore, and I love horror, and you got enough of that in here that I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm still on board. I'm still on board.
Yeah. I do try to get a good mix of things. I don't over complex the sci-fi, but enough. Definitely to get even the hardcore sci-fi fans interested. But I don't like drown you in it either. So
Right. I mean,
it's a good mix, like I said, the fantasy and the horror and stuff.
it is. You have a
So
lot
and lots of
going on.
action.
It's
Yeah.
definitely very, very cool. Well, do you have any last little parting shots you want to leave us with, or anything else that you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
Well, I will say that if you are a fan of the 90s style X-Men, particularly the Age of Apocalypse storyline, if you're a fan of books like Battle Chasers, if you're a fan of the Resident Evil monsters, and if you're a fan of the storytelling styling of Game of Thrones, definitely pick up Chaotic Flux. Almost said definitely pick up Game of Thrones. Definitely pick up Chaotic Flux. Please support the book. It really needs as many fans as possible, because I want to share this book out there with as many people as I can. I think it's a story worth telling, and a story worth people seeing and noticing. If you can, please support the book. We're I think almost 60% funded. And like I said, didn't fund the last one all the way, but I really hope we get this one funded. Any support you can give, be so grateful for that. And thank you for watching, everybody. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Scott, for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure being able to talk to you leading up to this, and then of course having you on the stream has been a blast. You are at 57% bid, 5 days
Okay.
left. I'm hoping that I talked you into extending. Please extend.
I'm pretty
And
sure I'm going to extend.
even though he's extending, that does not mean for everybody watching that you can just sit on your ass and wait until he gets down to the next 10 days and then maybe decide if you're going to back. Like, if you're going to back this bitch now. This is amazing. This is such a cool concept and such an awesome looking project, and it definitely deserves to be a lot higher than where it is. So share it out. Make sure that you back yourself. Share the link out to this. And while you're doing that, make sure that you like and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. And as always, thank you so much to the chat for coming out. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.